What is up, everybody? Gannon here, back with another video, and chapter 932 just dropped, I think, probably within the last 2 hours. And wow, on the surface, this chapter was pretty boring up until the end, of course. There was a lot of just kind of like diplomatic speaking among Orochi and his subordinates, as well as Kuroshiro, and it just wasn't that interesting if you just kind of read quickly through the first time. Like I did, but if you picked up some of the interesting kind of little details in this chapter, there's some interesting stuff to take into consideration. For starters, we should probably just confront the bombshell in the room. If you haven't read the chapter, or if you're not caught up on One Piece in general, just stop watching right here, because this is pretty important. At the end of the chapter, we did see Orochi's, like, Hydra form, and I am just, like, gobsmacked, surprised to realize that this guy, like, looks like he has a fucking legitimate devil fruit. Like, this does not look like a smile ability. I took Orochi for a joke. I thought he was going to have an embarrassing smile ability. I was, like, almost positive about it from the context, just evidence that we've had before in Wano. But this dude fucking popping out here with, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Good thing I counted right now. This is obviously alluding to the Hydra that Susanoo defeated in the Japanese legend. I did research the Yamata no Orochi story. In which the Susanoo, who's like, I think he's like, might be the god of thunder in Japanese lore, the storm god, yeah. He's the brother of Amaterasu. He was banished from heaven because he did Amaterasu mad dirty, and this dude basically assisted these two elders in slaying this 8-headed beast. By the way, I feel like I only know that. For one thing, I had to touch up on that research, but I feel like I only know that because I played Smite. My fucking Smite boys back in the day when Smite was like a relevant game, they'll understand. But anyways, if I'm looking over here, it's because I have the chapter up on my second monitor and I'm just observing this. Orochi, this form still does not look that threatening. I'm sure it's going to have some extra added ability into it. It's obviously maybe like a mythical zone, I don't know, because I'm going to make a separate video on that, whether the dragon fruits are like mythical or whether dragons really exist in the world of One Piece. But it's probably got some added ability. I still don't know for sure if it's not a smile fruit. I mean, we could still be trolled, like, this could just be the spawning of, like, 8 fucking heads, and Orochi just could be, like, on the other side with his ass crack staring out. We really don't know for sure. I'm just saying that it doesn't look totally ridiculous, and I'm thinking that it's quite possible that it could be a legitimate devil fruit ability. But with that being said, let's talk about Robin was doing some espionage, a little bit of reconnaissance work in the castle, and then she was exposed by the ninja, and I made a little bit of a prediction in the last chapter review. The last chapter review, I was tired, it was pretty garbage, but now I'm fucking pumped, baby. Let's do it. Robin was in the castle doing some reconnaissance. She told a little bit of a white lie there, saying that she was that wonder child or whatever it is. Sorry, I don't really want to go back too many pages she was like that one, like, ninja wonder child or something, and they're like, oh, that's wrong, dude. That is, what was he called again? The Witching Hour Boy. Okay, I was way off. His name, the Witching Hour Boy. He appeared earlier today in the capital, so they throw shurikens at her. Robin, and this is kind of weird, this kind of alludes to maybe a little bit better explanation of Robin's kind of like doubling ability. She utilized a body double, which is kind of weird because I always assume that Robin could like switch her, her like sentience to one of her bodies, in order to like transport herself or escape sticky situations. But it might just be like kind of a Gaara thing, you know, in Naruto, Gaara was able to make the little eye out of sand during the Chunin exams to cheat. She might be doing something similar to that, but then there was also that time she literally just transported herself at Fishman Island, so I'm assuming it's probably both. She could probably do both of those things, but a little bit interesting that we got a little bit more clarity on that ability, because that ability is kind of insane. Like, I think it's, what is it, the Bloom fruit Robin has? Sorry guys, I'm a little bit rusty, but, like, yeah, that's really interesting that we got some clarity. She's just basically gathering information at this point, guys. And then another thing that I would like to talk about, a majority of this chapter is just Orochi rambling on about how he's worried about the 9 scabbards coming back, and everybody's laughing at him. That's, like, basically more than half the chapter. One thing I think, like, I'm starting to think Kuroshiro is actually way stronger than I initially thought. I didn't think Kuroshiro was going to be, like, that dope. I think he's actually going to be a formidable opponent. In this chapter, this guy actually does look like he's pretty big. Like, he's got some size on him. He seems like he's a lot more confident in his abilities, in his own personal strength, which is always a good sign for me. And then at the end of the chapter, you see him unsheathing his sword, and he's like, hey, this is going to be a bloodbath. And I thought that was pretty badass. I think he's going to shape up to be a pretty cool character, the leader of the Yakuza. So that is something that I'm really looking forward to. Another thing that's really important in this chapter is that it's highly alluded, and I know I'm saying this word a lot, but it's excuse me, it's highly implied that that what's her face, oh my god, do I really need to look this up? This is bad. I'm sorry. Usually I'm really good about names, but it's like I don't know, like the Wano names are like super Japanese and they're kind of hard for me to remember. Komurasaki, okay. Komurasaki, the courtesan, the prostitute. It's highly implied that she is Oden's daughter. I think in this episode, head ass, this chapter, as you could see, it gets to one point in the chapter where somebody says that most of the Oden bloodline has been killed and that we shouldn't worry about them. Not to mention, at the end of the chapter, Komurasaki mentions that she is the daughter of a samurai and she will not live shamefully. And then people are wondering, hey, where did Momonosuke's sister go? It was also kind of confirmed in this chapter by mouth of Orochi that Lady Toki she had last word, so she's probably dead. We're still wondering who or the identity of Momonosuke's sister is, and it's highly probable that it is Omurasaki. I probably said that wrong. Komurasaki. God, I'm gonna have to check this again, dude. This is bad. This is low-key embarrassing. What is this bitch's name? Komurasaki, okay. Yeah, well, anyways, it's highly implied that Komurasaki is Oden's daughter. That's gonna probably play, like, a very interesting, dynamic in the story, so that's pretty good. A lot of really good illustrations in this chapter, by the way. Whenever we get a close-up of Komurasaki, it's just, like, she's just a very highly detailed, just, like, supposed to look like a beautiful individual, and I don't think we've really seen that art style before in One Piece, especially with the female, so this is a really, really cool thing to see. Again, like, Orochi's ability still looks silly. Like, he's got 8 dragon heads, and I mean, they still just kind of look all head-ass, but it's starting to look like he has a legitimate devil fruit. Now, with all that being covered, okay, I'm going to... Oh, it's also a good thing to notice that Orochi is, like, really, he's really kind of... In his mind, he knows that Kinemon and them are plotting something. The only, like, problem with that is he kind of has insubordination among his, his underlings. So, that's that. And Kaido's pretty much already confirmed that there's people in Wano, like, trying to do some shit. And then also Big Mom's invading, so it really is going to be, like, insane. Wano is going to be really insane, guys. I'd fucking really look forward to it. Predictions. I think I would like to go and make a longer video about this, but in the story, I think the fact that Orochi's the 8-headed Hydra, I think there's going to be a lot of connections with the Yamato no Orochi story. I think there's going to be a lot of linears to that. For one thing, I think that Zoro is going to get a, see, like, by the time Wano's over, it's either that Luffy has got to be, like, true Yonko level, or, like, he's, like, very, very close to it, if he's, like, gonna legitimately have to fight Kaido. Second of all, Zoro's gonna have some major feats. Zoro might be, like, a Susanoo, like, mirror image, like, he might be, I forget the word I'm looking for. I'm kind of being a head ass right now, but you know what I mean? Like, Zoro might represent Susanoo in a way where he has to defeat Orochi. I don't think it's going to be difficult for him to defeat Orochi, but I think Oda's going to write it a little bit better than that. It's not going to just be clear-cut, like, fight and then Zoro kicks his ass. Obviously, Zoro's probably way stronger than Orochi. I'm thinking that Zoro is going to attain, if not in the end of Wano, eventually in One Piece. I think he's probably going to attain it in this arc. And speaking of swords and sword predictions, here's a little teaser for what the next video is going to be about. There we go. So I'm going to make that tomorrow after school, probably. But yeah, guys, I'm thinking that Zoro is going to, in some way, defeat Orochi. It's not going to be like his high diff fight of the arc. I think, and people are going to fucking roast me about this, but I'm a Zoro fanboy. Zoro is fighting King and he's kicking his ass. Alright, let's do that. Yeah. Hell yeah, Zoro's Yonko commander level. And anybody who says otherwise can suck my dick. Zoro's probably going to attain a supreme grade sword in this at the end of this arc. He's going to need to, he's got the Wado. I would love for him to keep Shusui, because Shusui's my favorite sword. And I'm thinking he's going to get rid of the Sandai Katetsu, probably return it to the fucking swordsmith who also has a Japanese name I can't remember right now. He's probably going to return it to him, and he's going to get a supreme grade sword, and I think it's going to be the grass cutting sword from the story. It's called Kusanagi. It says the Kusanagi no Tsurugi. It's a legendary Japanese sword, and it's one of the 3 Imperial Regalia swords of Japan. I don't know what the fuck that means. Its original translation meant Heavenly Sword of the Gathering Clouds, which sounds badass, but in the more popular version of the story, it's known as the Grass Cutting Sword. Either way, Kusanagi sounds like fucking badass. I would love for Zoro to get a supreme grade sword. And in some way, I think he's going to obtain the Kusanagi if the whole Orochi kind of, like, story plays a bigger role in this. By the way, the background for, like, the video today, it's actually the Yamata no Orochi. You can see the 2 elders up there. And then I believe that's the elder's daughter that Susanoo was promised to marry, because in the story, Orochi comes, like, once every year to eat the elder's daughters. They had 8 daughters, so they had 1 remaining, so it's like the 8th year. And Susanoo actually made the 8 heads drunk at the same time as they were going through the gates of the gods. And then when they were drunk and they were, like, out of commission, he chopped them all off with his sword. And I don't think it was it wasn't the Kusanagi that he chopped it off. He chopped it off with the Totsuga no Tsurugi. Excuse me if I pronounced that wrong. The Kusanagi... Oh, Kusanagi was found in the 4th head. So he cut off the 4th head of the Orochi, and the Kusanagi was inside the 4th head. So fun fact, if you didn't know a little bit about mythology, now you know. And also, if you want to learn a lot about mythology, kind of flex in, like, you know, like, sophomore year, like, mythology class or whatever the fuck, play Smite. Smite's, like, a decent game. It's like League of Legends for children, but, you know, it's still fun. And anyways, I think I got everything that I wanted to say said about the chapter, and hopefully this review is, like, better than the last one. The last one was actually fucking garbage. So another thing, a lot of you guys are kind of liking the whole webcam thing, and if you guys like that, that's great, because it doesn't really put a lot of stress on me to make content like this. So I think it's a win-win situation for all of us. And I don't think I've said this in the last few videos. I forgot that I kind of love saying this. Please leave comments down below. Like, I love reading comments. Like, it's badass. Anything you want to suggest, anything you want to talk about, please put it down in the comments. I pretty much respond to everyone. So, with that said, guys, I'm going to have to see you in the next one.
Do you know what you're doing? Who's